Greetings, salutations, Jordan Sheridan live with the great journalist Zaina Day. It's election day in the United Corporations of America, where anything is possible and dreams will be achieved. We have New York City with Muslim communist Zohran set to win. If you listen to Wall Street and the Democratic establishment, Republican establishment's caricatures of Zohran. We have two milquetoast neoliberal CIA Wall Street traders possibly going to win in New Jersey. Well, definitely going to win in Virginia. I think Spanberger is going to win there. Mikey Sherrill, who's kind of like the Kamala Harris of New Jersey, has run a campaign with less enthusiasm than my left toe. She might beat Jack Ciattarelli. We don't know yet. It shouldn't even be this close, but, you know, she's running on basically nothing. And you have the California ballot initiative for redistricting, which Gavin Newsom, I believe, is going to use as a rocket ship for his 2028 campaign. We have the president of the United States threatening to violate court orders to provide SNAP benefits to millions of Americans. And not one person in the media asking, why are so many people so poor they're on SNAP? Maybe we should contemplate that. We also have just the fascism in Chicago. It's just incredible. I mean, full disclosure, Zaina, Status Coup, which is not exactly, funded by Elon Musk. Okay, we don't have the most resources. We spent over $10,000 in October to be on the ground in Chicago. Our cameraman John is still there. Our reporter JT is going back this weekend. Why did we spend over $10,000? Because although fascism, I believe, has existed in America for long before Donald Trump, I think it's now on steroids. And what we're seeing in Chicago, and I did a video on it earlier, and we'll talk about it more today, is literally just the veneer being tossed. The cloak, the curtain that kind of made the fascism was more civilized in America before Trump. Now it's just out ugly in your face. It's like, fuck you, fascism, basically. And what we're seeing in Chicago is truly sickening. I just did an interview with somebody in Memphis because it's going on in Memphis as well with not as much attention. We'll post that interview later. But there's so much going on. And as I was feeding my 6-month-old this morning, I got finally some good news, Zaina. Dick Cheney is dead. And yes, I say good news because contrary to Morning Joe and the corporate media bullshit obituary, this man was a war criminal. He should not be praised. He should not be heralded. He should be tossed into the dustbins of hell. So we'll talk about Cheney too. Before I go on, Zaina, did I miss anything?
I think you about covered it. Election day, Dick Cheney's dead, and the fascism continues. I think that's a pretty good roundup of what we'll be talking about today.
Yes. All right, smash that like button, folks. We'll also play some clips. Again, we've been on the ground for over a month in Chicago. You find me one news outlet, I don't care if it's mainstream or independent, that has put as much resources, time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears, including our reporter, JT, and our cameraman, John. They were live for a combined 8 hours on Saturday. Let me repeat, 8 hours. You know how hard it is to be, you know how many live streams I've started where right when it started, I had to hold in a pee for 3 hours? You try then being live for 6.5. They were live for 6.5 hours straight from the protests where police were doing the bidding of ICE, beating up protesters outside the Broadview Detention Center. And before that 6.5 hours, they were live for almost 2 hours that morning. That, we don't have like a support crew there to give them a little pause. They were live on their feet, covering what was going on for 6.5 hours on Saturday. So I hope.
Had to have the equipment prepped, John had to be holding the heavy camera. They had to be chasing the action all day.
And by the way,
what was going on, to be in the right place.
By the way, Colin, come on for a minute. How much, if you're there, how much you think our charge from our live view, which is our broadcasting equipment. How much you think we went over our data plan to be live for 6.5 hours straight?
Over? Ooh.
I'm going to guess we're going to get a $1,500 to $2,000 bill at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So not exactly, not free to do this, folks. We're doing it because, frankly, I think what's going on in Chicago, honestly, is full-on fascism, and it's going to spread. Its tentacles are going to spread everywhere because the Insurrection Act is coming, possibly as soon as after this election. Because I think.
If people have been following us for a while, John has been covering literally hundreds of protests in New York and other places. And if you guys know, John hasn't had too much of an issue with NYPD for him personally because he's can be an intimidating fella and stuff, and so they know not to mess with him. ICE has been a lot more aggressive than I've seen any other law enforcement, which includes NYPD and Atlanta PD, which are some of the most violent police out there than in the LAPD. So the fact that ICE has already gone to both physical and verbal threatening of John is quite concerning in such a short amount of time.
And you should know, by the way, I didn't make a big deal out of this, but John did get a call from the Department of Homeland Security a few weeks ago. He did not call them back. They left a voicemail, and he did not call them back, which I told him not to, and we consulted with lawyers. My assumption is they called him about a protest that happened on September 27th outside the Broadview ICE Detention Center, where they basically just beat the living hell out of protesters, beat the living hell out of journalists, unleashed tear gas, pepper balls, stun grenades, flashbangs. The same one
where they threw the veteran on the ground, for instance. That's the one.
No. Who could keep up? But that was the week after. But yeah. So I ask you, I beg of you. $5 a month. That's all I'm asking. You could support us for as low as $5 a month, and we're not slowing down. To be clear, we spent over 10 grand to be in Chicago last month. Flights, hotels, rent-a-car, gas, food, safety equipment, which was expensive. We had to pay freelancers when we sent John home because he's got a daughter. He can't exactly move to Chicago. Who else is doing this, folks? Nobody. So support us. StatusCoup.com/join. We'll shout you out as we're live. All right. Let's get to the bomb threats because now under Trumpism, you can't have an election day without bomb threats. We had bomb threats at polling places this morning in New Jersey. Interestingly enough, in Passaic County, which was one of the counties where the Trump administration was sending Department of Justice officials to observe. What is in Passaic County, New Jersey? Patterson. What is the demographic of Patterson? Largely Black and Hispanic. They were only sending DOJ to one county in New Jersey, Passaic, which is Patterson, which happens to be Black and brown. Wonder why. So you had bomb threats there. You had bomb threats in New York City. Apparently, you had a bomb threat also at Reagan International Airport. So we'll read you some of this. Why do I have an ad of Mike Huckabee over here? Ugh, terrible. Election day.
They know their target demographic, Jordan.
It's terrible. Election day threats target some New York City, New Jersey polling locations. Polling locations in New York City, New Jersey received threats early Tuesday morning on Election day. Bomb threats targeted several New Jersey locations, while NYPD and federal authorities investigated what police sources described as an elaborate swatting attempt targeting 3 other polling sites in Manhattan. Polling locations in Washington Heights, majority Black, West Village, kind of mixed, and Midtown received messages through the New York City Board of Elections email system, which contained threats of a terroristic nature. Then the New Jersey bomb threats, as we mentioned. Let's show you what Zohran Mamdani, which, listen, you don't want to say it's over till it's over, but it definitely looks good that he's going to become mayor tonight. We'll get to that later because rightfully so, people will celebrate. He's certainly a lot better than Cuomo, Sliwa, Adams, and the rest of the corrupt corporate assholes. But as we've learned with others, we need to hold him accountable if he gets elected. But let's show you what he said. I mean, he was not mincing words. Who's responsible for the bomb threats?
Incredibly concerning. And I think that it is an illustration of the attacks we're seeing on our democracy. Sometimes they're blatant and explicit in the manner of these bomb threats. And we have to understand this as part of the general approach the Trump administration has taken to trying to intimidate voters with baseless allegations of voter fraud as a means of trying to repress the voice of Americans across this country.
I don't know if he's going to get that question again today, but the general approach the Trump administration has taken to trying to intimidate voters, unless we heard him incorrectly, what in the world is he talking about?
He is serving up a Kamala-sized word salad, but he's using kale instead of romaine. It's just a slightly better finessed verbiage than we were given with her. This is emptiness. It means nothing. What he's doing is deflecting because he doesn't have an answer for this, because he is not prepared if, God forbid, something like 9/11 happens again. Just think about that. Were you in New York on 9/11? Do you remember what happened to the city? Do you remember what happened to this country? Do you remember who was mayor and what was needed from that office? Could this person really provide that? I mean, it scares the hell out of me. I hope everyone has a plan with their kids if, God forbid, something happens.
Got it.
Let's start with the bomb threats. Listen. I don't really think it matters who specifically did the bomb threats. I think we could rule out who did it. It's not the hippie grandmothers. It's not the hippie liberal grandmas in Manhattan calling in bomb threats or calling them into New Jersey polling places. I'm pretty sure we could venture to guess someone along the MAGA nexus is calling bomb threats on election day. And I think it starts at the top. Where are they getting this 4chanification into action on election day? Because it's not just election day. We've seen bomb threats. We've seen political violence. We saw the FBI office earlier this year or last year shot up by a MAGA supporter. We've seen a lot of right-wing violence. They like to make it seem like the Charlie Kirk assassination was somehow the first act of political violence. Data and research have shown overwhelmingly the political violence we have seen is from the right wing of this country. And we have seen Republicans, when it is clear that it is a MAGA supporter, either just move on and not even address it or try to somehow spin them into left-wing lunatics. But I don't think this is an isolated incident, these bomb threats, and I fear it could get worse for the midterms next year.
And it has been, and there have been journalists that have been ringing the bell on the possibility that there were going to be bomb threats, because this has been something that has been memed and joked about among right-wing fanatical circles in the last couple months. So it's not shocking to see it actually happen. And what's even more concerning on top of this is the fact that for midterms, the Trump administration, just to add to this, has already floated the idea of having National Guard at the polls. And that's very concerning, I think.
Well, I mean, we spoke about it last week. They are putting together a National Guard response force, which I think goes hand in hand with the Insurrection Act that Trump is all but guaranteed he's going to do. And I mean, I didn't watch the whole 60 Minutes interview. From what I heard, it was fucking pathetic. Not surprising, since CBS just literally appointed Barry Weiss as whatever president or editor in chief, which is just absolutely laughable. That fucking Zionist scumbag. But what I think is even worse than that is the just clear Islamophobia on display. It's not like it's very clear what that Fox News person was doing there. Andrew Cuomo has done it when he was on a radio show, and the host kind of said, "Oh, Mamdani, could you imagine if 9/11 happened?" There have been social media posts from Republicans tying Mamdani, because he's Muslim, to 9/11. And now they're saying, imagine if there's a 9/11 with this guy. Well, first of all, let me refresh her memory, because I lived in New York during 9/11. The leadership was awful from Rudy Giuliani. Going around holding a megaphone doesn't make you. There was this fantasy and bedtime story created about Rudy Giuliani, the hero. He fucking allowed
America's mayor.
Yeah, no. He allowed first responders to go there without masks, which caused severe cancer years later. That was also the EPA administrator at the time. He did nothing for safety of first responders. He was good on camera, gave some uplifting speeches. That was about it. So what did Rudy Giuliani do in the wake of after 9/11? And what Andrew Cuomo is going to be better if there's a terrorist attack? Well, there was a once-in-a-century pandemic, and his response was to go kill old people. He literally sent old people back to nursing homes with COVID, which killed, I don't remember, a lot of them, a lot of old people due to his recklessness. By the way, there was a low-key level of that in Michigan from Governor Gretchen Whitmer, which did not get a lot of attention. She did similar. So, they're worried about the Muslim guy at 9/11. You see what they're doing there?
They're trying to remind you, quote unquote, who did it.
Yes. So that's absolutely disgusting. I think Mamdani has handled the clear Islamophobic attacks pretty well. They will come even more if he's elected mayor, which we expect him to be. I also want to show you, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Other than Joe Biden's COVID in the basement campaign, which he's very lucky that he was allowed to stay in the basement in 2020. If it was a real campaign and he had to actually campaign, he might have lost because he was already clearly not ready for prime time anymore.
True.
You've covered how many? You've been covered over 100 campaigns?
Yeah.
Have you
100
a worse political campaign than Andrew Cuomo?
Oh, it's been garbage. And I'll tell you something. We were talking about this right before the show started. He's running independent. And as you can remember, Jordan, when we had independent candidates that we had talked to or people had floated running independent, the Democratic Party pundits and advisors and mouthpieces lost their mind about splitting the vote. But you don't hear any of these people talking about handing the race over to Sliwa. Everyone keeps saying vote, or so many of the pundits, so many of the Democratic Party establishment are backing or behind Cuomo, even though the people are clearly behind Zohran Mamdani. And I think that's such a there's no split the vote or splitting the vote or spoiler vote argument like we always hear in presidential elections. Like they shove down our throats every single election cycle.
And by the way, this happened lower key. It didn't have the attention of the Mamdani race. Remember, this happened in 2021? I was on the ground in Buffalo. India Walton, a local, I think she was a nurse, single mother. She beat the long-term entrenched Democratic establishment mayor of Buffalo, beat him in the primary. And then, we cancel the whole unity thing where we shamed progressives in 2016. We shamed and, fucking demanded progressives come kicking and screaming to unify with the Democratic nominee. Gone. Democratic establishment backed Mayor Byron Brown, who decided to run under, I don't remember if it was an independent or he created a new party to run again. So basically primaries don't mean anything if the corporate Democrat loses. Then we could do whatever the fuck we want. And the rules that we put in place for progressives to bend the knee don't apply anymore. And that happened here
that
too.
Also tells us, Jordan, that it is they know it's a viable option to run independent. They know that there's a possibility to run independent and win, even though I think Cuomo's not going to because he's horrible and New Yorkers know his record.
Well, yes and no. And you know this better than me because you've been a part of organizations to run independent. It's a viable option to run independent when you do not have the full weight of the establishment trying to get you thrown off the ballot.
Very true. Very
Cuomo running independent, smooth sailing. He didn't have the Democratic Party trying to get him off the ballot, the Republican Party. He had the support of both parties propping him up. If you're a real independent candidate, you can't get out of bed in the morning without banana peels, shells. I'm talking like Mario Kart being thrown your way to try and sabotage. But I want to show you. First, let's show you the tweet. Andrew Cuomo thought that this would be a good final pitch. This tweet from Andrew Cuomo.
No.
If you want President Trump to try to take over the city, National Guard on the streets, choking federal funding, vote for Zohran Mamdani because Trump just said he will be coming and this poser Mamdani won't be able to stop him. This is a fact. The next mayor has to be able to get us more, not ensure our demise. I am the only person in this race who could do that. So,
get us more what?
I don't know. Tax breaks for wealthy people, corporations. So basically your final pitch is vote for me. I'm such a sellout. Trump will leave us alone. Vote for me. I'm such a corporate whore. Trump will leave us alone. I mean, it's astonishing. And I also want to point out, and remember, smash that like button. I'm a little bit more salty than usual today. So I need you to smash that like button, share this live stream. We're going to get through some of our clips in Chicago.
Even more, Jordan, he's probably insinuating, vote for me. And I'll bring ICE in. I'll bring ICE in myself so that Trump doesn't have to.
I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now, Zaina, basically we are just hoarding the water all over the country for artificial intelligence. They're building data center. I have a message every day from another community. Can you cover this data center? When I get back on the ground, which will be soon, I've told the audience we've had some issues with my 6-month-old. Nothing major, just some minor things. So I don't want to leave right now and leave my wife to deal with it. But when I get back on the ground, we're going to have to do a data center tour, a water poisoning tour. I have too many cities to count. But they're using all these data centers and they're building all these data centers while poisoning communities, including in Memphis for Elon Musk's supercomputer complex, which is literally poisoning Memphis. They're drying up water wells around these data centers because you need a lot of water to cool the data centers. Also, we could have absurd fucking commercials like this. This was one of the worst political ads I have ever seen. One of the worst attempts at humors I have ever seen. If you have not seen this, I apologize, but I have to play it. This is Andrew Cuomo, again, thinking that this is a good final fucking pitch. An AI ad with socialist Zohran Mamdani, who, by the way, is not even a real socialist. That's another story. Socialist Zohran Mamdani coming for too much of your Halloween candy. Play it.
Trick or treat.
Aren't you a little old to be trick-or-treating?
Not according to my job resume.
And where's your costume?
Duh. I'm a socialist.
Hey, man, just one piece of candy per trick-or-treater.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to take 52%.
For what?
For the government.
You can't be serious.
Oh!
What's wrong with you?
Go away! Defund! This is insane. You are ruining Halloween.
Yeah. And I'm about to ruin New York City if you make me mayor. See, I'm a socialist. Some people need to get tricked, so others get a treat.
God, that guy was crazy.
Socialists are terrifying. Sir, we told you to go away.
What?
Relax. It's just me, Curtis Sliwa, the Red Beret guy running from there with no shot of winning.
Then why are you dressed like that other guy?
Because at this point, I'm so far behind.
A vote for me is a vote for Mamdani.
And that's the scariest thing of all this Halloween.
Anyway, I hope you guys have enough candy. Each of my cats is dressed up as a different cat from the musical Cats.
I'm voting for Cuomo.
Same.
Come on, let me in. My cats are hungry.
Paid for by Cuomo for NYC.
I guess Slee was splitting the vote according to them. So they're basically admitting that anyone who would support Cuomo is a Republican.
I found the real voter fraud in America. It's how many of Curtis Sliwa's cats are voting. That's what I want to know. Because we know in 2020 they came out with the dead dogs are voting. We literally interviewed people saying dead dogs were voting. But there's like 2 people in America that actually like that ad. James Carville and his kind of generation of corporate neoliberal hacks, and like Bill Ackman.
You're not wrong.
That's about it.
And probably Matt Iglesias. Matt Iglesias left that one. We'll throw him in there too.
And I want to just break this down, Zaina, because I think this is important. What, objectively, put aside politics, what objectively, what case could you even make that anything he's proposing is terrifying or radical? He's not correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's even proposing like a single payer system in New York. Maybe he supports that, but I don't see that as a major policy plank. That also would not be terrifying, but he's not proposing that. He's not proposing like free college. He's proposing rent freeze on certain apartments, not like lowering the rent, not like actual criminal penalties for the bribery that goes on between real estate developers and politicians, not rent caps, just like rent freeze on certain, like a small swath of apartments. He's proposing free government grocery stores, which
co-op grocery stores, which already exist. IGA and Save a Lot, actually, both of those companies have a whole bunch of worker-owned grocery stores.
I believe there's like
we have 2 of them here in my county.
I believe there's municipal grocery stores in a few cities in America.
Mm-hmm.
Have they melted? Have volcanoes erupted in those cities? Other than that, he's just kind of run like a feel-good, happy-go-lucky campaign. He's running around, partying at clubs, going to the Knicks game, going to the airport to greet the taxi drivers. He's a good campaigner, but he's not like what he's offering, like Bernie, would have been considered kind of like center-left in Europe. These are not exactly like fucking Che Guevara policies here. I wish he would go further. So it's just like, honestly, this is basically the fucking primal scream of Wall Street and rich fucks that literally suffocate cable news sets. That's all this is.
Yeah. Well, that's why they didn't mention the policy, Jordan. Because if they actually mentioned the policy, people would be like, free transit? Taxes going to the bus system? That sounds great. Discounts on Metro? Yeah, that's outrageously expensive for me every month. They'd be like, that's for rent caps? That sounds great.
And I'd also like to add, I don't live in the city anymore, but this talking point. Oh, if he gets elected, all the businesses are going to leave. All the CEOs are going to leave. All the corporate headquarters are going to leave. Goodbye. What are they doing for people being there? They're not employing like working class people, those major businesses. No, they're not.
They drive up cost for the average New Yorker, but not wages. Cost, but not wages.
Exactly. So the other thing I'll say, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade because it's a feel-good day and we expect him to win and he deserves credit. The organizers who knocked on an unprecedented amount of doors for him, phone banking, he had a great campaign filled with mostly young organizers. So credit to them. But we also had somebody stand on top of a bar saying, I'm going to bring the ruckus to the Democratic Party. Well, we're still waiting for that ruckus, AOC. So you can't let this guy have a honeymoon period. He's made some promises to people. Nobody would expect him to be perfect. Obviously, you have to compromise somewhat as an elected official. But we're expecting, the message to carry over with follow through. So the very people that knocked on doors are going to have to hold him accountable and also be willing to take the energy that they gave him to elect him and provide that same energy to help him win these policies. Because the first domino to me, the governor of New York has to approve tax hikes on corporations, on wealthy people. She has said she will not. She won't. Well, it's a powerful thing if he's got an army behind him, to pressure her to do so, to say, you're going to lose. She might be up for re-election now, but to pressure her into doing so, to put the holy, political winds of hell behind her, to pressure her to allow tax hikes on corporations, wealthy, to pay for some of these programs. Eric Adams also, on his way out, stacked the rent board
up in 2026, so that's still a point where people can push. People can push her still.
Thank you for correcting me. So yes, bury her head in shame and say, we will not come out for you. If you will not approve the will of the people, we will not come out for you. Because she has pushed this bullshit talking point that she doesn't want to drive out the businesses and the taxpayers. Give me a break. I also want to point out, Zaina, the president, with his continuation of low-key anti-Semitism, hate to play the Jew card, but it's very obvious, he truth social today. Any Jewish person that votes for Zohran Mamdani, a proven and self-professed Jew hater, is a stupid person. This is a continuation because he has made many comments about Jewish voters being stupid or somehow bad Jews for voting for certain people he doesn't like. If anyone else said that, most people would say it's anti-Semitic to be lecturing a certain religious sect of voters why they are not Jewish enough or not loyal to their religion or some bullshit. But Trump says that it's like a fart in the wind.
He's basically, this is the self-hating Jew trope.
Exactly. And if it wasn't bad enough, some of the Islamophobia we've seen, House Republicans, this is from the New York Post, they're exploring ways to prevent Mamdani from being sworn in if he wins on election day. House Republicans are exploring ways to prevent Zohran Mamdani from ever being sworn in as mayor if he prevails in the election by citing the U.S. Constitution's insurrection clause. And how are they going to cite the insurrection clause, Zaina? By claiming he said he would impede ICE as mayor. So yeah, him saying he would fight against the secret police terrorizing is somehow an insurrection. Not by the way, thousands of Trump supporters storming the U.S. Capitol to try and stop the implementation of the vote, to try and overturn the will of the people. That's not an insurrection. That's just a protest that got a little too rowdy. But the mayor saying, I will protect my constituents, legal or undocumented, that is somehow an insurrection. So they certainly have selective standards for what is and is not an insurrection. But I'm telling you, Zaina, everybody should buckle up because we're talking about Chicago, how much money we have spent to be in Chicago, and we're still there. My spidey senses tell me what we saw in LA, what we've seen in Chicago. Once they've been waiting for Mamdani to get in there, they're going to send in ICE, Border Patrol, possibly the National Guard, and New York City is going to be Chicago and LA combined, a lot worse. And of course, you're going to get a lot of media attention on that because New York City is the media capital of the world. But buckle up, folks, and we will be on the ground if that happens. And by the way, the NYPD, I think they're even under Mamdani, they're going to cooperate.
Yeah, because I mean, think about this. There are small town police chiefs that are pushing back because there are small town police chiefs that are elected, right? I don't think we're going to see the same energy from IDF trained New York police force, one of the most brutal in the country. I don't think we're going to see that.
No. So
notorious
buckle up.
for already racially profiling themselves. They already do it.
But before we move on to ICE's latest terror, I do want to point out the Mamdani victory, which we think is going to happen. I think is pretty major, not just for the progressive movement, like in terms of if you want to put a label on it. I think it's pretty major in terms of one more nail in the in the coffin of neoliberalism. Yeah, because Andrew, people trying to minimize it will say, it's New York City, whatever. Well, New York City is more progressive than Virginia, but I mean, it has had generally establishment corporate hacks. I mean, Bill de Blasio was more progressive than Cuomo, but he wasn't exactly a socialist, right? This guy is a 33-year-old, self-described socialist. I don't think he's a traditional socialist. I would call him more of a social democrat, proposing popular things. And 5 years ago, he might have not broken through. But I think something has changed where even people like normie Democrats who 5 years ago would have been voting for Cuomo are shifting to Zohran Mamdani. And I think that is a reflection not just on the Gaza issue, because I do think a lot of older people are actually voting for Mamdani based on Gaza, including a lot of Jewish people. There's a lot, not a small number of Jewish people disgusted with Israel, disgusted with the Democratic Party in Israel, and that's their top issue. And we've seen that from the protests we've covered. We've interviewed a lot of older Jews out there who are pro-Palestine.
Anti-Semitism that they have been facing because of Israel carrying out a genocide under the umbrella of using Judaism as their reasoning for that has created a lot more anti-Semitism toward Jewish people.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's right that it's created it. It's just a fact that it has created it.
But, you know, I don't think this would have happened 5 years ago. I think this is kind of like the Bernie movement and what Bernie created. Maybe Bernie, I mean, we've already gone through the mistakes he made 1,000 times. I think if he would have went a little bit more aggressive, he could have won, definitely in 2020. But I think basically you have a lot of normies moving over further left because kind of the how you going to pay for it shit, it's not working anymore. Everybody's costs are up. The standard, you know, trying to label certain policies as too radical, it's not working anymore.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Jordan. We were already kind of there in a lot of ways across the country. We just didn't have the candidates to back it. I mean, I did a pretty extensive postmortem on the last election on my Substack on Friday. And some of the things that I go over are polling that, and the same as my experience when I was on the ground talking to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of voters. And I found that people supported universal health care. It's how Obama won. It's how Bill Clinton won. People were supporting Hillary Clinton's health care plan, but instead of putting Hillary Clinton, which, you know, we got our issues with Hillary, but she did have a decent health care plan that she put forward. But Obama chose to do the insurance sellout to Mitt Romney's plan written by the Heritage Foundation instead. And one thing that I noticed is 65%, and we've covered this here before, but 65% of seats went uncontested this last election cycle in a lot of blue states. And then we had the abandonment of the 50-state strategy and the defunding of all these states by the Democratic Party. West Virginia used to be blue. Kentucky used to be deep blue, one of the most progressive states in the country. Some of the most progressive policies in the country and one of the most progressive state houses. Very left-leaning state, Kentucky is. We had Ohio was primarily blue. Michigan used to be blue, but is now red. All these states were defunded by the Democratic Party in order to focus on presidential states and wealthy areas. And now we're seeing with Mamdani, if somebody runs on the policies that you and I have always said is already popular when we got there and we talk to people every day, we're talking to people and hearing the same thing. It proves that these are popular policies.
But I also want to make, I know I said we're going to move on, but I think this is very important. And I criticize Bernie. You know, listen, not that Bernie watched me. His campaign did. There's a reason I never got an interview with Bernie Sanders. It's because I didn't suck him off constantly. And I criticized him when I had to. And I got criticism for criticizing Bernie. And then I got criticism for praising Bernie. You can't win with people. People either think he's a sellout or, you know, beyond criticism. But to be clear, one of the problems with Bernie Sanders is he was not willing to call his opponents corrupt.
That's right.
He was not willing. You know, infamously, I remember covering the Brooklyn debate in 2016. He was asked by one of the moderators, could you name one position or one vote that Hillary Clinton took that was influenced by a donation? And he kind of gave a word salad, even though his campaign was sending out rapid fire when he was asked that during the debate. Several examples. He remember infamously, he said, I'm tired of the damn emails. Well, that was a bad political strategy. He should have fucking hit her on the damn emails. 2020 would not go after Joe Biden for his 40 years of lies about his civil rights record, about him on the crime bill, even though Bernie voted for
Joe was his
my good friend Joe. So I could go down the list. he wanted to run a positive campaign and not call, not say the emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
And, some people say that's a good thing about him and that's an admirable quality. Well, politics ain't beanbag and you got to get dirty. And negative campaigning, especially when it's true, does work.
Yeah, it has to be, you gotta tell the truth about what we're trying to fight.
Right.
If somebody comes in all positive against Gavin Newsom in the next gubernatorial election in California, you have to create a juxtaposition. And I used to tell the candidates that I advised the same thing. I would do opposition research and I would say, look, this candidate is dirty. And some of them wanted to go the soft route. But one of the lessons we learned, because I did more than 100 postmortems on campaigns, was the ones that didn't go out and show how problematic the incumbent was, didn't do as well. It's part of running.
Well, Mamdani, I don't know who he's listening to other than maybe just it was his instincts. He stood up there on the debate stage and he pointed out this man has sexually harassed however many women he's sexually harassed. This man is corrupt. I'm pretty sure I heard him say you're corrupt. Pointed out the pay-for-play schemes. And that's what you got to do. You got to go for the jugular, especially when you have the facts to support. And I think that is something progressives, working class candidates need to learn. Sure, run a happy campaign, run on your positive vision, but you got to fucking hit your opponent where it hurts. And he was not afraid to call, not particularly, remember, he started running a year ago. So he was hitting Eric Adams with corruption, the current mayor, who is a corrupt fuck. And if not for Donald Trump's corruption, would be probably going to jail because the DOJ had Eric Adams dead to rights on corruption. So I think,
and one reason they do that is because, one reason some of these Democrats do that, even though Bernie is supposed to be an independent, he's close to the party, but people inside the party don't want to give negative criticism of someone else who's in the party. And if you're running a primary, that's a ridiculous concept.
And also, there has been reporting that part of why, not that it even mattered, part of why Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, who, by the way, watching him do interviews, I mean, my left toe has more charisma than this guy. Part of why he was not going to give his endorsement, other than being afraid that he was going to lose that AIPAC money if he would have endorsed Mamdani, would not pledge to not oppose, to not support a primary candidate against Jeffries. Jeffries said, as part of an endorsement, he wanted a commitment that Mamdani would not support if he got a primary challenger. To Mamdani's credit, he said, I'm not going to make that pledge. So, obviously, we'll see what the results are, and we'll have more analysis on the victory. But I think that this, one way or the other, it's a good day for progressives, for the people that organized his campaign and are instrumental into getting him elected. Have your night, have your morning after, maybe the weekend, and then hold this motherfucker accountable. Because I don't care. I don't care how much he smiles. I don't care how eloquent, how great he is. And he is very good at this. And he is laser focused on the message. But that we've seen that kind of shift. We saw AOC after she was rowdy for one day. Remember, she went outside Pelosi's office with the climate kids at sunrise. After that, she sprinted to Pelosi's side as she sprinted to playing the game, kind of like a younger Elizabeth Warren. We don't need that shit. You got the movement behind you, Mamdani. Use it. All right. Smash that like button. Share this live stream. I want to get to the fascism going on in Chicago, which, like we said, probably is making its way to New York under a Mayor Mamdani. Reminder, Status Coup. I'm going to take off my glasses for this. Look at my bags. We have been on the ground in Chicago, the suburbs around Chicago, Broadview, which is outside of Chicago, since late September, covering protests, ICE raids, Border Patrol assaulting people. Our cameraman, our reporter have been tear gassed while, by the way, being away from their newborn daughter. Our reporter, JT, has a 2-month-old he's been away from, not because he's a bad dad, but because this is important. Our cameraman has an 11-year-old. He's been away for over a month, basically, with 1 week. in between that, because this is important. And I'm not even going to bother saying humbly, I'm going to brag. If not for us and being on the ground, you would not have seen most of the things that happened in Chicago. JT was one of the first to report that ICE broke into a home in the wealthy part of town to round up construction workers, leaving one of them bloody. We showed you the trail of blood on the door and on the floor.
Great reporting.
We showed you last week them smashing into a car window to drag out 2 women. And a bystander who was trying to stop them from doing that, not physically, just yelling at them. We now will be doing a follow-up. They've now charged him with impeding their terrorism. So a good Samaritan was trying to stop them from abducting 2 people out of a car, and now they have gone to him, and they're charging with impeding arrest and some other bullshit, which I'll have a follow-up on that. Again, they were live for 6.5 hours. There's a lot of channels out there on YouTube. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of influencers, which I hate that term because what the fuck are any of these people influencing? Are any of them live at a protest? By the way, both of them on Saturday got shot with pepper balls. John in both of his ankles. They still stayed live for 6.5 hours covering a protest. Not because we're making billions doing it. We're not. But because the cops under Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker are accomplices to ICE. They are literally working, it seems, on behalf of ICE. They're clearing the road so ICE could bring in the people they abducted to that prison. I don't even call it a detention center. It's really a prison. There's now a lawsuit over the conditions, and they're so deplorable. And they are targeting and shooting pepper balls at unarmed protesters. The cops under the Democratic governor who went in front of any camera that would have him pounding his chest because he wants to run in 2028, that I'm not going to lift a finger to help Trump's ICE. Well, you're lifting your whole fucking body to help Trump's ICE. So I tell you this because we have spent over $10,000 to be there for over a month between JT, John, the flights, hotels. The average hotel just for one night right now is about $125, $150. Times that by almost 30. Okay. 2 rooms plus food, the safety equipment we got them because we don't want them inhaling tear gas constantly. That costs several $100s. It's very expensive to do real on the ground journalism. I know for a lot of people in there, I see the comments. Oh, Jordan, what I would do to support you guys, I just can't right now. All good if you can't. Totally understand. It's tough times for everybody. But if you have as low as $5 a month, we also have $10 a month, $20 a month, a couple of different plans. If you have it, I believe that we walk the walk. We don't just talk the talk. Please support us. StatusCoup.com/join. John is out there. He'll be live tomorrow from a protest. JT will be returning this weekend, and I'm hoping pretty soon I'll be back out there. All right. Colin, I don't know what order you have, but let's show some of what we did over the weekend.
Outfit, wow. Okay, so explain for people at home what you're dressed as.
I am dressed as Greg Bovino, baby in chief, who's terrorizing our city right now.
For folks who don't know, Greg Bovino is the Trump administration official who is in charge of these operations out here in the Chicago area. He's a Border Patrol commander. Now, why are you characterizing him as a baby?
Because I see him basically every day in our streets. He looks terrified. He's chucking tear gas at people who are standing around legally and peacefully recording. That tells me that he's not, that's coward behavior.
No doubt coming out of this protest, we're going to see a bunch of right-wing news outlets try to call it a riot or try to call it an insurrection. Carrot, you're here. Carrot, what is this? Describe it for folks.
It's a bunch of people who care about our city, who care about our neighbors, who care about the most vulnerable people in our society, which is the other thing. I mean, that's who Bovino is targeting. That's who ICE is targeting. Their narrative that they're picking up like the worst of the worst is it's completely laughable and unbelievable to anyone who's actually seen the way they're operating. The only people that they've taken in recent days are landscapers, construction workers, moms dropping their kids off to school. And that's who's here, like the people who care about, actually we're the ones who care about law and order, because the only people that are terrorizing our city and are acting unlawfully are ICE agents and Border Patrol. So, I mean, you can hear the music. We've been dancing, we've been chanting. There's not like a single violent act here. What's violent is the facility behind us. You saw the lawsuit that just came out, right? The conditions inside this facility are completely illegal and inhumane, and that's what we're here to protest.
Love her Halloween costume. By the way, this rowdy protest where cops are beating the shit out of people, it started as a Halloween costume protest. And by the way, nothing to report yet, but just a little teaser for the community. Might have some skeletons that we have found in Mr. Bavino's closet. Might have made some contacts with some people in his life. I'll leave it at that. So I am currently looking into a few things. But what's incredible, Zaina,
can't wait to hear about that.
What's incredible, Zaina, I've been told by King Trump, from Mr. Goebbels, Stephen Miller, from Tom Homan, the ICE chief, that we have a criminal invasion in America. Well, I would think with the crisis of a criminal invasion, I mean, Greg Bavino, he hardly has time to go to the bathroom, right? Apparently not. Apparently he has at least 4 or 5 hours a day to respond to media outlets and candidates on Twitter. He responded to that Status Coup interview with the impersonator. If you have that tweet, Colin, Commander Op at Large, Gregory Bavino, Karen, I guess he's calling her a Karen, those laborers you mentioned, find so many with lengthy criminal immigration history. Yesterday, as I was out making the community safer, oh, what a hero, we encountered and arrested a Polish illegal alien with an Interpol red notice for leading organized crime and drug trafficking. Oh my, Karen, did you know we're finding the illegal Poles now? You know, they've been handing out they're handing out illegal expired knishes, and we are going after those dirty criminal Poles now.
There's something about this that really sticks out to me, and it's the whole MO of this administration is they're arresting thousands of people. They have detained hundreds of U.S. citizens as well. They've pulled, moms out of their minivans with their kids in the back seat. And yet what we see from DHS when they're not posting birth of a nation racist posts that, are like Halo memes and shit, are they're these pictures and then the supposed crime that these people have committed. No trial, no jury, no indictments, just here's their picture, here's what they've supposedly done, and they'll find one person to tokenize when they've arrested hundreds of people that day.
I love
this.
It's
the same pattern.
But we got one Polish guy, Justin wrote. Yep, got one Polish guy. And by the way, shout out, new Status Coup member just signed up, John, as well as Wendy. Let's go, baby. We got 2. We need more. We got almost 800 people watching. I know there's some of you in there. StatusCoup.com/join. If you just paid rent, understand. Maybe you could do it in a couple days. StatusCoup.com/join. Honestly, it's as simple as this. You got almost 800 people watch. Even if a few hundred people sign up at $5 a month, that gives us the money we need to stay on the ground in Chicago and go elsewhere for the foreseeable future. And we also need to pay behind the scenes. What you see on camera doesn't just go out into the universe. We got Colin behind the scenes, Michelle behind the scenes, myself doing a lot of support work right now. So please support us, StatusCoup.com/join. But he sent out this message. I saw it literally copy and pasted 3 or 4 times. If you have the other one, Colin. So this was a congressional candidate She did a post, some rare positive news. Yeah, that one. Some rare positive news. Yesterday, Chicago neighborhoods came together to protect kids from the chaos ICE keeps bringing to our streets. Neighbors blocked off roads, kept watch. So, Commander Bovino over here, he's got all the time. He takes a break from the criminal invasion to copy and paste about the Polish illegals with the Interpol notice. And I also want to make a point, Zaina. Welcome, new Status Coup member, Texas refugee. I also want to make a point, Zaina, because we haven't talked about this. I would like Mr. Bovino to go after another crime that I am reporting. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Mr. Bovino's agency, Department of Homeland Security, stealing the footage of journalistic outlets like Status Coup, the Chicago Sun-Times, who just demanded that they take down their footage, because you got DHS literally stealing the footage that we got last week of John Farina, our cameraman. John Farina, because it's John Farina and he's fucking everywhere. God love him, deserves multiple awards. While all the other cameramen were kind of like trailing Bovino as he walked out of court, they were next to him. John went around the car so we could actually get the shot of his face when Bovino stood on top of the car on the guardrails. He did what kind of looked a little close to a Nazi salute. But anyway, he did the whole whatever the fuck he was doing. He thinks he's in the Call of Duty game. That was our footage. Hours later, I see a highly produced Border Patrol or video on DHS's Twitter with a remix of Coldplay. So Coldplay, if you're watching, would love to get in on a lawsuit with you. They just lifted Coldplay's music and lifted our footage of Bovino's fucking weird thing with this weird mix of like images of him looking like G.I. Joe mixed with him in like a GQ looking Armani trench coat. It was the most bizarre 30 seconds I've ever seen with 10 seconds of our footage. I don't know, Zaina. I'm not a lawyer, but I do know what copyright infringement is. And you can't just take people's footage and not credit them.
People's footage, people's music.
Yes. I mean, there is something called fair use where you could use a certain amount of footage if you are adding commentary to it, if you are repurposing it, a small amount. If you're not just airing it uninterrupted and you're adding something to it. But they just lifted our footage and just added like "we will not be stopped" caption. So
it's funny that they think that Bovino's hand gestures are like
it's exciting. It's exciting some white racist on dialysis sitting on a porch somewhere, those ads. But I will give you a little behind the scenes on that too. I have fired off a few emails to a couple legal groups. So we'll see. We'll see about that because I'm not going to take that sitting down. They can't just steal our footage. It'll be one thing if you're stealing our footage, but you're stealing it for propaganda purposes to stoke more violence. And we're not going to just
fascist propaganda is outrageous. I can't believe I missed that one, Jordan. That's crazy. It's crazy.
You know, it's funny. I'm bad. I usually like message Zaina like 3 hours before the live stream. Hey, can you join me? Because I'm fucking disorganized, this and that. And she'll respond or whatever. And I'm like, did you see this? And she's like, what? What are you talking about? Because she's busy too. So yeah, sometimes we miss things. But we're not going to take that standing down. You can't just steal our footage, use it for your fucking fascist, hand signals, and call it a day. And they did it to the Chicago Sun-Times as well. Now, I want to show you another clip because, again, I'm proud to say I think in just a matter of a few days, we're breaking stories and getting real incredible moments that none of the local media are getting, none of the national media are getting, and most of them are there. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're twiddling their thumbs.
I've seen the foot chase that John Farina got. Was it 2 weeks ago? I believe it was 2 weeks ago. We aired it here. With that John Farina got where ICE were chasing the guy and they were falling all over themselves, tripping over their own 2 feet. I have seen that all over TikTok, all over the internet. Tons of shows.
I want to give you, I'm going very behind the scenes. I want to give you a behind the scenes. And I hate to say I yelled, but I did. I love John Farina. I think he's a great guy. We're actually friends. He's come over with his daughter, and she's played with my daughter. We're friends outside of work. But John Farina has a bad habit. It's not drugs. It's not alcohol. John Farina has a bad habit because I'm busy. I can't look through all the footage. I mean, they shoot hours and hours of footage. He has a bad habit of like crazy shit happening and just remembering it a month later. So
he
John
covers
Farina,
so much, Jordan.
I know. John Farina shoots this fucking like Reno 911 fucking name your silly cop show, Starsky and Hutch. Just epic scene of Border Patrol stooges barely being able to jog against this 60-something-year-old falling down. It was at the end of September. And I don't know, Michelle, our producer, somebody found it. And I called Farina. This was like 3 weeks later. I'm like, you didn't think it kind of important to mention that you shot like a fucking epic Reno 911 scene of officers falling down? And he's like, oh, I forgot about that. And I said, John, it's very possible if we would have got that up within a day, the Daily Show might have picked that up. John Oliver might have picked that up. Who knows? If with the right music, who knows? So I said, from now on, I want you to do something called voice record after shit happens. And just send it to me at the end of the day, and I'll go through it. Anyway, that's the story with that. I love him, but yeah, we didn't know about that for a while. So
I like that tactical plan though. Voice record,
yes.
Send it in, because that man is busy. He covers so much. I mean, he's covered hundreds of protests, so he's seen a lot of crazy, and he chases after the crazy all the time. So,
and by the way, credit to him. After I just shit on him, it is not like I can't even hold the camera steady while I'm not running. Okay, this guy's sprinting while holding the camera steady. That is very, very difficult. So don't get it twisted. We love him. But God damn it, Farina, tell me when crazy shit happens so we can get it out. All right. So, Colin, what do we got next?
Worry about our safety.
We gotta go that way. You should let us know so they know. Why are y'all giving conflicting orders? You said either way was fine.
That was a very annoying noise. Hey, fix your line. Fix your line. Fix this. You want to get me right there? Fix it, idiot. Come on. Fix your line. Fix your line. You're backing it up. You gotta slow. You gotta speed. Fix your line, guys. You're creating more danger. Fix your line. You gotta solo man out front. Start bringing it.
Shame! 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 Shame!
So I want to give you the context for this because I think it's very important. And I hate to be a broken record, but Zaina, I say this every time. Listen, we could just be a channel who, straddles the balls of the Democratic Party and tells you how great they are, and how Trump is the only problem in America. But I'm not going to lie to you. These are the state troopers, the Illinois state troopers under Democratic Governor Jay Pritzker. That's not ICE. That's not Border Patrol. As we have shown you, Pritzker, for all his tough talk, and he has said some good things verbally, he has had his police out there arresting unarmed peaceful protesters, shooting pepper balls, which you get hit with a pepper ball point blank, it could do some damage at protesters, tear gassing protesters, creating free speech zones. And to be fair, that's not the police. That's the Broadview mayor, the city of Broadview, which is where the prison is. So in this little corner, they're allowing protest. Everywhere else is fascism. So if you step outside the free speech zone, I guess it's fascism. But those police are restricting protesters' First Amendment rights to protest right next to the ICE building, to try and impede the movement of the vans with the undocumented immigrants. And by the way, U.S. citizens, because we've shown you they've detained U.S. citizens in this prison. And that's Pritzker's state troopers under his control. And we've been told that he's allowing it because he thinks it will keep the order, because he's afraid that if disorder happens, then it gives Trump even more ammunition to declare the Insurrection Act. Well, that to me is twisting yourself into pretzel logic, because if you are opposing fascism, you don't then support the fascism by deploying your police to restrict protesters' rights. I have not seen, I mean, I'm not on the ground, but I trust JT and John and what I see. I've seen 99% peaceful, no weapons, protesting. That's his police. And the mainstream media, Zaina, is not showing that. They're not criticizing J.B. Pritzker. And I don't want to hear it from commenters who say, Jordan, not now, focus on Trump. How do you think we got Trump? By a Democratic Party who enabled this fascism. Remember, Merrick Garland was the Democratic Attorney General who sat on his hands and did not try and prosecute the former president for trying to overturn the election, for being caught on tape, trying to conjure up 11,000 votes or whatever it was. He waited for a year as the former president stole classified documents and wouldn't give it back. So the Democratic Party in so many ways enabled this. Your thoughts there?
What stuck out in my mind is these guys think that they're stormtroopers, but really they're super troopers. That one guy pulling a Farva by by losing his cool, man. He it stuck out to me what happened there, and it's not an isolated incident, right? We caught a moment, and I heard someone say they're trying to start violence. They're trying to instigate us. They're trying to instigate violence. And we have documented this so many times when there's one roughshod cop that loses their cool on the crowd and starts it on purpose, or just starts it. And that's what we saw unfolding, and oddly stopped at that moment for a split second. But typically it doesn't get stopped. And what ends up happening is someone pulls out their baton and starts wailing on protesters. And as far as what you're saying about J.B. Pritzker, it's the same cycle over and over again. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they're like, "Who would you prefer, the National Guard or police?" And I was like, "It depends on when, where, and how. You know, what state is it? What training? What is the record of the police force?" And we know that the record of the Chicago police force and the Illinois police force is terrible. And so it's a matter of, with Pritzker, it's a matter of what it feels like is we're going to be the ones doing the bullying, so that ICE isn't. Like we'll come in and we'll fill the gaps. But it's essentially the same tool. It's carrying out the same agenda.
Yeah. And I also think we should be clear. I mean, there's no reason for the police to be there. Logistically, there is no reason for the police to be there. There has not been any protesters being violent, unruly. I mean, there's grandmas out there. There's hippies out there. I mean, it's been very peaceful. So I think that it's unfortunate that the media just wants to paint the Democrats versus Trump, the Democrats resisting Trump. Well, this is if this is resistance, might need some better training. If
I'll remind I'm going to put forth a reminder to everyone that during the BLM protest, it was primarily Democratic governors that called in more than 30,000 National Guard on the ground. And there was a lot of violence. Status Coup was there covering some of that, if I recall. There was quite a bit of violence on the ground at the hands of the National Guard that were called in by Democratic governors. And that was only 5 years ago, guys. That's not that long ago, right, Jordan? I mean, and to me, it's amazing that people have forgotten.
Yep.
And Tim Walz was one of those governors that decided to call in hundreds of National Guards on to Black Lives Matter protesters. And a lot of these protests were peaceful.
Yep.
Where the
Absolutely.
National Guards broke out in violence.
Welcome, new Status Coup member. It says, born to be wild. Welcome to the wild side. Thank you. John,
That's
welcome.
Great name.
We also got new member, Texas Refugee. Glad to have you. Collins, a struggling man in Texas. Progressive stuck in the hell that is, the fuck is that guy? What is the governor's name?
Abbott.
Oh, Greg Abbott. Yeah, another lunatic. I also want to show you, before we get to another clip, Greg Bavino, the Border Patrol chief, we also have to criticize the judges down in Chicago area because, Border Patrol, DHS have blatantly violated judges' orders. So has Trump, by the way. Trump has violated several legal orders. They just give a slap on the wrist, drag them in front of court, give them harsh words, demand them to provide evidence of such, but never hold them in contempt and never throw anyone in jail, which is what they do to working people if you violate a judge order.
No consequences because the Supreme Court gave presidents immunity before Trump was inaugurated. So.
Well, they didn't give people a DHS immunity yet, or Border Patrol yet, or
that's right.
So they're blatantly, like the Border Patrol chief blatantly violated the judge's ruling, I believe the next day, for Border Patrol ICE to stop deploying tear gas and other ammunitions at protesters, journalists. Nothing. She dragged them into court, read him what her original ruling was, like he was a dummy, demanded that he had to come into court every day at 6 o'clock Central for updates, which DOJ appealed, and a lower court or an appeals court overruled the judge, so he got out of having to go to court every day. But I want to read this to you because Greg Bavino has been in a private deposition for several days, and apparently in that private deposition, he's revealed that he views all protesters as violent rioters and tell officers to go hard against them. So this is the Border Patrol chief who's supposedly trying to eradicate the invasion, saying that any protester is a violent rioter. The allegations came in a late-night court filing Monday as attorneys representing media organizations seek to restrict the Fed's use of force during Chicago's deportation campaign. U.S. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino admitted to tossing gas before being hit by a rock at Little Village. By the way, there's no evidence he was hit by a rock. That's another thing. And separately instructed officers to arrest protesters, quote, who make hyperbolic comments in the heat of political demonstrations, court records show. I want to repeat that because it is so fascist. Arrest protesters who, quote, make hyperbolic comments in the heat of political demonstrations. Well, by that standard, Zaina, there would be a whole lot of people next to me at Standing Rock, Black Lives Matter protests, Medicare for All protests, anti-genocide protests who would be arrested if the standard for arrest in America was if they make heated, hyperbolic comments. There
are probably 50 Supreme Court precedents that say that this can't happen.
And this is what
Supreme Court precedents that exist right now saying this is unconstitutional. This is just blatantly unconstitutional.
But this is what I'm talking about. I mean, the laws are not even like, I don't want to give a West Wing TV show fantasy of America, because we had basically a joke of a legal system before Trump. We have a legal system for rich people, i.e. the Jeffrey Epstein bed and breakfast prison stay. where he was allowed to leave and commit more crimes. I believe Ghislaine Maxwell also gets some time out of her bed and breakfast prison stay.
She gets to go on vacation from prison.
Yes. You have the legal system for working people, and then you have the legal system for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. So it wasn't a great, legal system of justice before Trump. But now you just brazenly have laws, constitutional amendments being violated, laws being violated. Not even like there's no gray area, just blatantly textbook violation of clear-cut laws, and nothing happens. And that's kind of how fascism grows and expands and thrives. And then you have military rule, and then courts are basically eradicated or
then they
neutered.
write new laws, Jordan. Then they write new laws, and they say, well, this is the legal framework now. This is what's legal now.
Yes.
What's legal now is being able to arrest someone for looking at a cop in a weird way.
I also want to read, because this is equally insane. Bavino also allegedly refused to admit that he'd ever seen protesters who were not violent rioters, giving his agents cause to, quote, go hard against them. Translated, all protesters are violent rioters. That's all according to attorneys who have spent days deposing Bavino behind closed doors and under oath. They pointed to portions of Bavino's testimony in a late-night court filing Monday as they seek a preliminary injunction restricting the feds' use of force in Chicago. Without it, they say the feds will continue to act as if they can use weapons of war to commit shocking acts of violence against civilians, protesters, press, clergy, bystanders, pregnant women, children with impunity. And by the way, Department of Justice, DHS, is trying to fight to allow this transcript to be made public. So they're trying to keep his deposition private. I wonder why. Because the guy's a fucking full-on fascist lunatic. That's who's running. And by the way,
but it's not much further. It's the same stance the White House is taking. It's the exact same stance the White House is taking.
And by the way, there is other reporting, and I think there's going to be freedom of information requests made, whether the White House will give it or not. That Greg Bavino, the Border Patrol chief, is in constant communication with Stephen Miller, who, it's been reported, Stephen Miller is basically running ICE and Border Patrol. He's the one who is scorched earth that you guys aren't rounding up enough brown people, that you guys need to stop with this targeting business and just go on into Home Depot, 7-Eleven, construction sites, round up anyone brown. That's who Bavino is apparently communicating with constantly. And you also had Trump in his 60 Minutes interview over the weekend, which was a disgrace. And the anchor was horrendous and basically gave him a pillow party, saying, I don't think we've gone far enough talking about ICE. Well, apparently this is who Greg Bavino thinks is the violent rioters. Colin, if you have the video, this happened a few weeks ago. It's under the list. ICE agents in Chicago are now ramming cars in the street and then abducting the person they hit. This is the woman they smashed into, if you have that.
Yeah! Hit and run! Hit and run! That's a hit and run! Hit and run! Hit and run! That's a hit and run! Hit and run! Hit and run! Yeah. Look, hey, watch out with that weapon! That weapon! Yo, watch out! What's wrong with you? You hit it! You hit her! Yo! What's wrong? You hit her! You hit her! You guys hit her! You guys hit her! What's wrong with y'all? Y'all hit her? Y'all bust a whole U-turn in the middle of the street! Y'all hit her! Y'all on camera! Leave her alone! She ain't even do shit! She trying to go to work! She's trying to go to work!
What the fuck?
No, what? Y'all some crazy. Y'all got no heart, for real. No heart. No heart.
She's
a female.
Get off of her right now. You guys hit her. How you guys gonna arrest her? You guys hit her. Man, how you gonna arrest her, man? God, bogus as fuck. You hit her. You guys hit her. You guys hit her.
Well, that violent rioter, what do you know? It came out. They completely lied. This from the Chicago Tribune. Chicago woman dragged out of her car after colliding with ICE demands accountability. You got to love these corporate media headlines that totally minimize what happened.
Yeah, there's some in this article that bothered me. I read this yesterday. Yeah.
Apologies, I might be mispronouncing first name. Diane Figueroa was on her way to get coffee before heading to work when she encountered a chaotic scene in the West Town neighborhood of Chicago. Heavily armed, masked federal agents making arrests on a residential street. People yelled as vehicles honked their horn, a sign now used to alert neighbors that immigration agents are in the area. And witnesses said federal agents had arrested several landscaper workers presumed to be in the country without authorization. As Figueroa tried to drive through the 1600 block of West Hubbard Street on October 10th,
Hold on. That last paragraph, they kidnapped people off the street that they racially profiled that were working on people's lawns. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Jordan.
Thank you for pointing that out. You were spot on. As Figueroa tried to drive through the 1600 block on West Hubbard Street on October 10th, an unmarked vehicle driven by federal agents collided with Figueroa's as it tried to speed away from a hostile crowd. Multiple videos reviewed by the Chicago Tribune show. Seconds after the crash, agents abruptly stopped their vehicle and exited with weapons in hand, pointing at Figueroa, a U.S. citizen. Agents then forcibly opened her door, pulled her out. We saw that part. The Department of Homeland Security later released a statement claiming she was at fault, saying she crashed into an unmarked government vehicle. It's like they don't know video exists or they don't care. She was released the same day, a few hours later, without charges. Her arrest highlights growing concern about the use of force against, I'm not going to read the rest because it's such a fucking minimization. First of all, my guess is they hit this parked car going at least 15 to 20 miles an hour. Do you know the force? Because that's happened to me. Do you know the force if you are parked? If somebody hits you going 15 to 20 miles an hour, it could be a lot worse than just whiplash.
Yeah.
Secondly, those agents don't know if a child is in the car. They don't know how many people were in the car. Thirdly, they knew that she wasn't a target of anything. They're just out of fucking control lunatics who are not trained, vetted, or clearly they're not vetted. They're handing out $50,000 signing bonuses to these crazy people. I mean, you could kill someone driving that fast into a parked car. And then they drag this woman out. So let's not even mention the trauma, the PTSD. I mean, you would normally call
hit. Do they just expect her to just lay back and be like, "Arrest me"? If the level of shock, because that's not even a normal. Police don't just. I'm not saying the police are great. The police are extremely problematic, but it's not a tactic of theirs to ram into vehicles of someone they want to pull over for running a stop sign or whatever. That's not.
I mean, if this happened, like, forget ICE. If you just saw anybody drive into a parked car that fast, then drag them out, you might get them on attempted manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just lie about it, even though the video clearly showed they were lying. And the point is, how many instances of this is happening, whether it's smashing your car in, smashing car windows to drag people out, that we don't know about because somebody didn't have video on it in that.
And I counted up last night. This is interesting that you showed this today because last night I went through TikTok. I have an abscess tooth. So I'm laying there in bed going through TikTok and I decided to specifically look at how many videos I could find of ICE agents ramming into vehicles as a tactic. I found 14 videos, Jordan. 14 times this was just caught by bystanders on the street. So how many times has this not been caught, to what you're saying? Because I found 14 videos of them being caught doing it as a tactic. So who has given them an instruction that a tactic that they can use is if they see a brown person, they can just, or somebody who even looks remotely brown, they can just ram the vehicle.
Well,
Another lady was a U.S. citizen as well. She had her daughter in the car, her infant daughter in the car, and they rammed her vehicle, later let her go, and now her vehicle's destroyed. She's not wealthy. How's she going to get to work? What's she going to do?
I mean, this is terrorism. I don't know any other word for it. What the Trump administration and Trump himself are deploying is terrorism. And to tell you the truth, you have to start thinking the real intent here is to try and get people to want to leave the country, including U.S. citizens that are brown. I mean, I think of Flint, for example, and a lot of things I've covered over the years. People who were victimized, targeted, felt that this was by design to get them, push them out, particularly the response after the poisoning, to try and just push them out. Many people thought they were intentionally trying to poison them, kill off the black people. In this case, you have to think maybe the game plan by Miller, who's clearly a white nativist, I think Nazi, is to just either round them up and deport them or get them to want to leave. Because literally, we're talking to person after person. JT, our reporter, John, people don't want to leave their house. Restaurants are empty.
And this isn't an assumption that you're making. The DHS has been pushing out daily applications where recent citizens and people, Visa card holders, can self-deport. You fill out this form and you self-deport, and they have been pushing it every single day. They're basically saying, if you don't want to be caught up in this, you can self-deport now. Here's a form. We've made it easy for you. We'll give you $500. Self-deport right now.
And think about this. I just want you to think about this for a second. There's maybe one competitive race today. The New Jersey governor's race. I think the Virginia one is going to be probably a sizable victory for the former CIA Democratic nominee. So there's one competitive race in New Jersey.
These are former CIA are really popular Democratic Party candidates right now. I'm just going to say,
yes.
But go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, you never really former.
Slotkin,
you never really former CIA, by the way. Anyway, there's really one competitive race. Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican nominee. I mean, he's basically not like hardcore embrace Trump, but he hasn't repelled him, right? New Jersey, generally blue, has gone purple with Christie and others, but generally blue. Why is it even close in New Jersey right now when you are literally seeing terrorism happen around the country, when prices are higher now under Trump than they even were under Biden, which were too high and were the reason Trump won again? Trump won, according to the exit polls, because of inflation and his bullshit promises to lower prices. Why is it even close when you have this terrorism happening? You have a government shutdown. I don't think she's going to win in a landslide if Mikey Sherrill wins. You also have a genocide going on that's wildly unpopular for people of good conscience that we've been funding. Why is it even close? Because you have a Democratic Party. I mean, it's easy to oppose this. Anyone with eyes and a basic moral compass should oppose what we're showing, but they're not offering anything. The Democratic Party is not offering anything but stop the fascism, return to neoliberalism.
And even worse, Jordan, the people who are out there with the Ezra Klein abundance theory put out a brand new survey that they supposedly did with 500,000 people, which I can't find who the people were, what questions they asked, or even their mechanisms of this survey that they said that they did, that all leftist policy needs to be abandoned, that any kind of economic populist policies need to be abandoned, that no one wants Medicare for all, no one wants tuition-free college, that, trickle-down economics is the way to go, that the party needs to move right. And that just came out on Friday. The new vision for the Democratic Party from the billionaire-backed welcome pack.
Wait.
And I have an article coming out about that tomorrow. But that's where the party's headed.
The new vision, meaning the same vision of the
vision.
last 40 years? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
the same plan that they've been doing the whole time, Jordan. Just more of it. And even further right. Very
By the way,
exciting.
can I just say, I don't want to minimize torture, and we'll get to Dick Cheney in a minute. I would rather, you know how like in Guantanamo, they put on like really grunge, angry, loud music to try and torture people? I'd rather listen to fucking loud music all night and be tortured than have to listen to Ezra Klein. That's how bad this guy is. That's how.
Guys, when I read Abundance, I read the book, and Jordan said, I'd rather be banging my head on a wall. Why are you torturing yourself like this?
You cannot pay me enough to read Ezra Klein. All right,
It
Colin.
was pretty miserable. I will say that I'm still recovering from that.
And in a breaking news alert for the continued AI apocalypse, IBM just laid off 8,000 workers. So we got UPS laying off 48,000, Amazon 14,000 with the goal of 30,000, IBM cutting 8,000. Hey, but we're getting great AI videos of the spooky socialists trick-or-treating. So,
And can I say, this is supposed to be a holiday season when USPS, or not USPS, but when FedEx, when Amazon, when these companies hire gig workers, which a lot of people, now that we're in the gig economy, are relying on these temporary jobs during the holiday season to get them through the holiday season and to save up enough money to live through the year, are now not going to have those jobs. And additionally, they're laying off workers. What happens when you don't pay people is eventually it starts to dry up because there's no one that's going to want to buy your shit. And that's what's happening right now. They don't have the supply and demand because no one can afford to buy anything because they're refusing to pay people. They're laying people off. They're replacing us with AI. AI can't purchase iPhones. AI can't go out there and purchase clothing. AI doesn't purchase food.
well, yet they'll make that soon.
Yet. Jordan's like, eventually the robots got to eat,
No, I'm you're gonna have AI hacking soon. AI just hacks into your fucking Amazon and orders for you. I shit you not. It's coming.
Forced orders.
It's coming. I mean, they already sell your private data without your consent, so Colin, I want to play more. I want to play another clip, whatever you got next, because I want to remind people we're still on the ground in Chicago. It is wildly expensive. We've got a few signups during this live stream, but hey, I'm asking you in the season of giving that is coming, if you have anything to give, please give it to real, living, breathing, independent journalism, because we need you. I'm not going to lie. If we don't substantially grow our paid membership, I mean, we cannot afford to stay on the ground in Chicago or anywhere indefinitely, but we want to stay out there. And I'll tell you, the more we're out there, I hear it from John, I hear it from JT, people at these protests just flood our reporter and cameraman thanking them because their local media is not doing the job. The national media is certainly not doing the job. And I've seen it when I'm on the ground. People, it's not only that they appreciate what we're doing, they grow to depend on it because there's so few media outlets out there that go beyond bloviating in a studio. We do that some of the time, but we're on the ground a lot of the time. So again, please, if you have 16 cents a day, that's what $5 a month is, statuscoup.com/join. Let's play another clip from our weekend reporting.
We don't have our First Amendment rights. We don't have that thing. We have nothing.
And we see Illinois Illinois State Police there with the batons and the riot gear. forcibly moving the protesters.
Get back!
Who do you protect?
Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Back up! Back up! Back up! Get off my foot! Back up!
See police jumping on somebody there. Looks like making an arrest.
I don't care that you're pressed. You need to get out of the street. This is not an authorized media area. Go to the authorized media area. Get out of the street.
Out of the street! Out of the street, man! Out of the street! Out of the street! Out of the street! Out of the street! Out of the car's coming! Lock and stuff!
Be in the street. Clear. If you want to go, you can go. That's fine. If you want to go, you can go. It's your choice.
You see law enforcement there. They picked up that protester, carried him over to that vehicle. Now they've got him laid out on the ground, going through his pockets.
I will add, JT left this part out. They arrested Jesus, folks.
No, they arrested
that guy.
American Jesus.
They arrested American Jesus. That guy was dressed as Jesus. So fitting in America to arrest Jesus. I found one particular part of that to be particularly jarring. I don't care that you're pressed. Go to the media approved zone.
Yeah.
What is this? Fucking the media approved zone. So the police get to decide where the media can and cannot be? This is not ICE. This is not Border Patrol. This is the police aiding ICE. How do you think ICE and Border Patrol are able to wreak havoc when you have the police, which serve at the pleasure of the Democratic governor, out with batons, arresting American Jesus, shooting pepper balls at point blank range? When's Rachel Maddow going to ask Governor Pritzker about this? Because she gave him a fucking little pillow party interview last week.
True.
So the fact that they have
Pritzker showing up and Pritzker doing his little tour like he's going to protect Illinois. This is his idea of protecting Illinois. Get his police to do the dirty work.
Yeah,
Get the
it's
state
absurd.
police to do the dirty work.
Absolutely absurd. And again, all these protesters are trying to do is get back to where they were allowed to be just a couple of weeks ago, which is right next to the ICE prison, to protest. They're not throwing projectiles at officers. They don't carry guns. So this is the problem with when you have an opposition party, I think, aiding and abetting the fascists.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fascists, before I go to take care of my kids, we cannot end without our own obituary to one Dick Cheney. Zaina, your thoughts?
My thoughts are more than 2 million people in Iraq and Afghanistan killed, millions and millions displaced, all built on a lie that Dick Cheney pushed. Dick Cheney is a war criminal. And the only thing that makes me sad about today is that there was zero accountability for his actions, and that his policies and legislation are still in place. The Patriot Act is still in place, and it's a tool that the Trump administration is using right now in order to do the fascism that they're doing, in order to hearken to the Insurrection Act, in order to do what they're doing with ICE, in order to label all of, quote unquote, the left and Antifa as terrorists. That's all because of the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act was Dick Cheney was an architect. He was the architect of the Patriot Act. And you know what? The Patriot Act was passed with bipartisan support. And I will say again that Obama kept it in place. Biden kept it in place. Democrats didn't dismantle the Patriot Act. There's been zero accountability for any of the war crimes that he was accountable for. So Schadenfreude today, man. I am not sad over a murderous bastard dying, and that is how I feel about it.
And I also want to point out, because I didn't watch a lot, but the corporate media focused on he was a patriot because one of his final acts was saying, "I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris" as a protest vote because Trump's stealing democracy. Well, if this man was such a pro-democracy person, he and his little puppet George W. Bush ushered in the original attacks on democracy. I mean, we haven't had an actual functioning democracy in quite some time, but he ushered in the attacks on democracy by going around Congress to do the AUMF, where we could have never-ending war that you don't need to go to Congress. So now you're allowed to bomb other countries without congressional approval. You're allowed to stay in other countries indefinitely without congressional approval. Drone other countries without congressional. You can do anything without congressional approval. That was Mr. Democracy over there, Dick Cheney, who pushed that. The Patriot Act, attack on democracy, a violation of the Constitution. I mean, we could go down the list. And to be clear, in my youth, because I'm 39 now, in my youth, I read a book. I forget the name, but it was by Bush's former Treasury Secretary. And his former Treasury Secretary is Paul O'Neill, I believe was his name. He kind of pulled the curtain because he spoke out in meetings before and after 9/11 because Dick Cheney, even before 9/11, was trying to engineer a reason to go to war with Iraq. Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of Halliburton. Halliburton made billions of dollars off of the Iraq war. And Dick Cheney, even though he said, "Oh, I'm quitting Halliburton to avoid conflict of interest," he got money, residual money from Halliburton, even as vice president. So he made millions and millions of dollars off of that illegal war that stole Iraq's oil. I mean, Trump infamously said, "Yeah, let's go steal their oil." That's one of the things he said as candidate. Well, Cheney was the one who carried it out. So he's not a patriot. He's not some pro-democracy figure. Frankly, George W. Bush has also been, extreme makeover by the media. Oh, let's look at his paintings. He's another fucking war criminal. They're just more civilized war criminals that the Morning Joe set, finds champions of democracy. But they're
one of the things that's so appalling about it is that when he endorsed and ironic is that when Liz Cheney became a darling of the Democratic Party for doing the bare minimum, and when Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris, there was so much enthusiasm from the Democratic Party talking heads, but the truth is he's one of the most despised men in America, and looking at the most unpopular vice president in American history. And when you look at the response today, Jordan, I am seeing across the board whether the people are more conservative leaning or whether they are, liberals or whether they're leftist. Right now, the country is in agreement. Essentially, it's the first time I've seen agreement for the most part on social media outside of pundits and, of course, liberals that are doing their crocodile tears today for what a legacy this man had, are in agreement that this guy was a war criminal and a war criminal is gone. The country is pretty much in unison on this.
Yes, the country, meaning
the people,
the proletariat. While the pundits are, ringing their church.
I'm waiting for Ezra Klein's piece to come out about.
And I also want to point out,
about at least he did war civilly or something.
I also want to point out, if we're America first, I'm not America first. I'm humanity first. But for the America first crowd out there, it's not just the U.S. soldiers who died. It's the ones who came back and committed suicide because of this horrible war based on lies. The ones missing legs, the families who have been shattered because of this war. And it's not just Iraq, the whole war on terror that he helped launch. And by the way, to be clear, although the buck stops with Bush, Cheney got the same memos that Bush got and ignored before 9/11. I'm not a cheerleader for Al Gore, but I will say, I think if he was president, it's possible 9/11 wouldn't have happened because he might have read his fucking briefings that warned on August 6, 2001, bin Laden primed to strike using airplanes as missiles. Might have tightened up airport security, might have looked into suspicious flight schools. So Bush was out on the ranch all of August. And Cheney was, doing whatever the fuck he was doing. So I could go on. I got to go take care of the kitty. Zaina, tell people where they could find your great work and journalism.
Oh, and we had several super chats. Do you want me to read them if you've got to go take?
Do you mind? Because I got to go take care.
We've had some great.
And we'll be live tomorrow in Chicago. John's covering another protest. We'll have election reaction tomorrow. Don't go to our one more time. StatusCoup.com/join. We need you, folks. If you don't want to do it for me, do it for Zaina. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll read through the super chats. Emily Sigmund. I hate AI slop so much that I'm just going to get a flip phone, my next cell phone. It's not only cringe, it's dangerous because it can fool people, and over time will get better than that too. Yeah, deep fakes are very scary, and we're already starting to see those types of videos emerge, and where we're not going to be able to trust our own eyes, and especially under with the current propaganda that's happening across the country, it's of deep concern. But thank you so much, Emily, for your super chat. Texas Refugee, again, thank you for becoming a member. Lama Wusi 7, did I say that right? Lome Wusi. Sorry if I butchered that. I apologize. My name's Zainab, so I have a lot of people that have a struggle with pronouncing my name. So I apologize if I mispronounced it. Here's to the best on the ground news. Keep up the fight from Hopi, Arizona. Thank you so much, Lo. We really appreciate your support. Thank you. Gene Schwartz, thanks again, guys. Already a paid subscriber, but I terminated one obnoxious subscription today, so I'll send you some. Oh, thank you so much, Gene. We really, really appreciate it. And it is nice to go through those subscriptions maybe you've forgotten about or accidentally subscribed to and get rid of those. Dave L., thank you so much for the support. It's a testament to the basic decency of Americans that none of these agents have caught a word that rhymes with mullet yet. Yeah, you're not wrong that things are getting heated in the country and not sure where it's going to go, Dave. Gene Schwartz again. Thank you so much, Gene. I'm old and forgot that I sent $10 a while ago. Joking. Gene, I feel you on that. I have what I call mom brain. I barely remember where my keys are most of the time. All right. Is that all of them? Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Colin. And you guys can also find me on Bullhorn Bulletin at Substack. It'll be down in the description. I have several new articles that I've written, investigative pieces that I've put out in the last 2 weeks. So if you can, please subscribe and help support. And just one last reminder, if you would like to support our on-the-ground journalism at Status Coup, you can go to StatusCoup.com/join and give there, support the on-the-ground journalism, support the work, and thank you guys so much for joining us today. Join us tomorrow for live on-the-ground response to the New York gubernatorial election.